The ice cream seller, Johnson's journey with twists. Johnson Emeka, the only child of Chief Emeka and Lady Nneka, grew up in the lap of luxury. His father was the wealthiest man in Owerri, a powerful businessman whose empire spanned several industries. With no siblings to share the burden, Johnson was expected to take over the family's business, continue its legacy, and, most importantly, settle down with a proper bride. As Johnson grew older, the pressure to get married became more intense. Chief Emeka was ailing, and Lady Nneka, with her sharp, calculating mind, decided it was time for her son to marry Rose, the daughter of Mr. Okeke, Chief Emeka's longtime business partner. To her, the union wasn't just a matter of marriage, it was a business strategy. Rose's family was powerful in their own right, and a marriage between the two families would cement their influence in the business world. Johnson, however, wasn't thrilled by the idea. Rose was beautiful and came from a respectable family, but their connection felt forced, as though it were merely a transaction. Yet, Johnson's love for his parents made it difficult to outright reject the idea. He agreed to give the relationship a chance, hoping things would work out, even if he didn't feel the spark of genuine love. As the date for their court marriage drew near, preparations were in full swing. The Emekas and the Okises were excited, with plans for a grand celebration. But just one day before the wedding, Johnson's world was turned upside down. A family friend who worked in Chief Emeka's company uncovered a shocking secret: Rose was pregnant, and the child wasn't Johnson's. Rose had been secretly seeing another man and had become pregnant, planning to pass the baby off as Johnson's once they were married. Johnson couldn't believe his ears. He immediately confronted Rose, and after hours of heated argument and denials, she finally confessed. She had hoped that marrying Johnson would not only secure her family's position but also save her from the consequences of her actions. Devastated and furious, Johnson called off the wedding. News of the cancellation spread quickly, and the scandal rocked both families. Chief Emeka supported his son's decision, despite the public embarrassment, but Lady Nneka was inconsolable. She had spent months planning the wedding and building a future alliance with the Okises. Now, all her efforts had gone to waste. How could you ruin everything? Lady Nneka fumed at her son. We needed this marriage, Johnson. You can't keep delaying your responsibilities. You must marry soon. Do you not understand? You're our only child. We want to see you married and settled before your father's health worsens. Johnson, however, wasn't interested in marrying for convenience or status anymore. After the betrayal by Rose, he longed for something real, something genuine. He wanted to marry for love, not business. I know what you and Dad want for me, Mom, Johnson said calmly. But I need to marry someone who loves me for who I am, not for my money or family name. Lady Nneka scoffed. You've lived a life of privilege, Johnson. Love is not something that will keep you or our family's legacy intact. You need to marry someone with influence, someone who can contribute to this family's future. Johnson felt trapped between his duty to his family and his desire to follow his heart. For days, he pondered what to do. Then, one evening, while walking through the streets of Owerri, an idea struck him, a wild, unconventional idea. What if he disguised himself as an ordinary person? He had always been surrounded by people who admired him because of his wealth and status. But what if he could find someone who loved him for his character, not his money? It was the only way to know if the love he found would be true. The next morning, Johnson shared his plan with his father. Chief Emeka, though initially skeptical, saw the sincerity in his son's eyes and agreed to let him proceed. If this is what will bring you happiness, Johnson, then go ahead. But be careful, his father warned. Lady Nneka, on the other hand, was livid. An ice cream seller. You want to disguise yourself as an ice cream seller? Have you lost your mind? This is beneath you, Johnson. You are a man of stature, of legacy. Johnson stood his ground. Mom, I need to do this for myself. I need to find someone who loves me for me, not for what I can offer. Please, trust me. Despite her strong objections, Johnson was resolute. He shaved his beard, dressed in simple, worn-out clothes, and, with the help of a family friend who owned a small ice cream business, bought an ice cream cart. With this, his transformation was complete. The son of the wealthiest man in the city had now become an ordinary ice cream seller. For the first few days, life as an ice cream seller was harsh. He set up his cart near the gates of the local university, hoping to meet people who wouldn't recognize him. But things didn't go as smoothly as he had imagined. Most students treated him like an invisible man. Some looked at him with disdain, and a few even ridiculed him. He was laughed at and called names. "Is this your life now?" one girl sneered as she passed by. "Selling ice cream. What a shame." Despite the insults, Johnson kept going. His resolve to find true love drove him forward. He believed that somewhere out there, someone would see him for who he was, not for what he owned. One afternoon, as the sun blazed in the sky, a young woman approached his cart. Her name was Mercy. Unlike the other girls who mocked him, Mercy smiled warmly at Johnson. "How much for the ice cream?" she asked kindly. 50 naira, Johnson replied, his voice calm but his heart racing. Mercy handed him the money and took her ice cream. But instead of walking away like the others, she stayed by the cart and struck up a conversation with him. "I've seen you here for a few days," Mercy said. "You must have it tough standing under the sun like this all day." Johnson was taken aback by her friendliness. No one else had shown him such kindness since he started selling ice cream. They talked for a while, and Johnson found her easy to talk to. She was down to earth and didn't seem to care about appearances. Days turned into weeks, and Johnson and Mercy grew closer. Mercy would often come by to help him sell ice cream, chatting with him in between customers. She didn't ask about his background, and he didn't offer any details about who he really was. But in the simplicity of their interactions, Johnson found something he hadn't experienced before, a genuine connection. One evening, after closing up his cart for the day, Johnson invited Mercy to a local food store for dinner. As they sat in the small, bustling eatery, Johnson asked Mercy more about herself. She shared her struggles growing up in a poor family, how she had to work multiple jobs to support herself through university. Her resilience and humility touched Johnson deeply. Mercy wasn't like the other girls he had met. She didn't care about material things. On days when sales were slow, she would even offer Johnson money, insisting he needed it more than she did, even though she had little herself. It was this selflessness that made Johnson fall for her even more. But Johnson's journey to finding love wasn't without its challenges. Lady Necker, determined to see her son married into a respectable family, had hired private investigators to track his activities. When they discovered that Johnson had been spending time with Mercy, a girl from a poor background, Lady Necker was furious. "You are disgracing this family, Johnson," Lady Necker shouted when Johnson returned home one evening. "You are associating with a common girl who has nothing to offer you. How can you stoop so low?" Johnson was taken aback by his mother's anger but stood his ground. "Mercy has more kindness and love in her than anyone I've ever met. She doesn't care about our money, and that's exactly why I love her. She's genuine, unlike the others." Lady Necker was livid. "This girl will drag you down, Johnson. You have a responsibility to this family, to your father. You can't marry just anyone." Things took an even more complicated turn when Chief Emeka's health began to deteriorate. His heart condition, which had been worsening for years, took a critical turn, and the doctors warned that his time might be running out. As Johnson spent more time by his father's side, the family's business began to suffer, and the pressure mounted. Lady Necker seized the opportunity to pressure her son once more. "Marry someone who can help stabilize this family, Johnson," she pleaded. "Your father is sick, and we need strength in this family. Marry someone with influence, someone who can help save our business." But Johnson had already made up his mind. He had found true love with Mercy, and he wasn't going to give it up for anyone or anything. One evening, as he sat by his father's bedside, Chief Emeka took his son's hand and spoke softly. "I don't care who she is, Johnson," his father whispered. "If she makes you happy, marry her. Love is rare. don't let it slip away. With his father's blessing, Johnson knew it was time to reveal the truth to Mercy. He invited her to a quiet restaurant and confessed everything, his true identity, his family's wealth, and why he had been selling ice cream. Mercy was silent at first, processing the revelation. Her eyes widened with shock, and for a moment, Johnson feared she would walk away. But then, with tears in her eyes, she smiled softly. I fell in love with the man selling ice cream, Mercy said, her voice trembling. Not the son of a wealthy businessman. It doesn't matter who you are, Johnson. You've shown me your heart, and that's what I care about. Relief washed over Johnson. Mercy's love was real, and he knew it. A few months later, they were married in a small, intimate ceremony, surrounded by close family and friends. Chief Emeka's health stabilized enough for him to attend the wedding, and even Lady Nneka, though initially resistant, came to appreciate Mercy's kindness and humility. In the end, Johnson had found the one thing money couldn't buy, true love. His journey had taken him through deception, disguise, and heartbreak, but he had emerged on the other side, stronger and with the woman who truly loved him for who he was.
I hope you enjoyed the tale. If so, please like the video, comment, share it with your family and friends, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell for more enchanting tales like this one. Goodbye.